everyone. Welcome to the Resenha Podcast number 2. It was an incredible success last week, and me here and my co-host Thiago Silva. Welcome, Thiago. Nice to see you, man.
Thanks, Junior. Thanks for all the positive things that we've been getting from the futsal league from the first episode, and I think we're very blessed to have this put this podcast together, having a lot of good guests and sharing all the experiences and everything, like trying to improve soccer in Edmonton. It's been awesome.
No, it's been an incredible journey, and again, all the feedback we're getting through all the conversations that we're having and all the everything that's going through it. It's been incredible, man. It's been something that we're really excited about it, and all the sponsors and the partnership. So we definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsors. I know Macron Ontario being incredible to sponsor the league. They have been an amazing supporter. If you go to futsaledmonton.com/store, futsaledmonton.com/store, you get all the league swagger there. You can take a look, and you can kind of help us out in kind of looking good, and at the same time helping the league. Edward Jones, there's been incredible support from them. They're giving us way above and beyond. It's been really incredible, all the support that Edward Jones is giving us. Launch Code as well, or technology partner. They kind of help us in find some of the solutions we're looking for. CMWC, the Castle Downs Medical Centers, they've been incredible, by the way. Thiago, I don't know how much you know that, but like they are providing our athletes they've got injured throughout anything in futsal, a full assessment and support and treatment, and they're getting with discounts. So if you are futsal Edmonton and you got injured in a game, let us know, and we're gonna connect you with Castle Down Medicals, and they will kind of help you out, and we're gonna make sure it happens. Also, Remax Elite with Ricardo Brito, soccer fan. Shout out to Ricardo. Thank you for your support, Ricardo. It's been amazing. ESP Elevate Sports Performance. It's also been incredible support for the league, and No Sweat Cleaning Services. We are very thankful for you guys partnering, and there's a couple more coming up next week that you guys are gonna let you know. So, Thiago, again, our sponsors are fantastic. I'm really excited about our sponsors.
Yes, absolutely. We can't do these things by ourselves. We need the support from the community, and they are showing that they're on this together. It's awesome.
I also want to kind of mention to you guys our 50/50 or fundraising for the Futsal League. I'll go to Edmonton, futsaledmonton.com. There's a link that you're 50/50. Please help us out. Like, participate in the 50/50. There's a chance that you can be part of it. All the funds going to be reused into the Futsal League. We're going to also help into promoting futsal for youth. And we're gonna make sure that all those funds are being invested into the game to expand the game, make sure the game works in a proper way. So the guest of today is also a coach, a director, and he's actually right now in Europe. Like, we're able to cut him in Europe to be able to kind of have a little bit of conversation with us. He is the director of First Class Academy and the Northside Athletical Club here in Edmonton. Mr. Filipe Fidalgo, welcome, Felipe. We are so excited to have you with here today, all the way from region of Braga. Is that where you're from? Where you are right now?
A little bit more north, but we could say,
Sorry, I
yeah,
think you're
Braga.
muted there. Hold on, give me a second, Felipe. Let me fix this up. There you go. You got it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There you
I'm
go.
just
So
gonna
you're
fix that.
all the
There we
way
go.
from Braga.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, Junior and Thiago. And just to start off the podcast by saying congratulations on your success and all the work you guys are putting in for the development of futsal in Edmonton. I think it's amazing, and it's really beautiful to see.
Well, you half Brazilian, right, Felipe? Like, Portuguese are half Brazilian, or Brazilians are half Portuguese. How does that work?
No, I'm full Portuguese and Canadian. Mas também pode ser brasileiro, cara.
Well, we could do the podcast in Portuguese here and just put a bunch of subtitles, right? That could be the way to go. So, Thiago, do you want to jump in with the first question to Felipe?
Yeah, absolutely. So Felipe, we've known each other for a long time. We played together here in Edmonton as well. Can you just tell us a little bit more about, you're born and raised in Edmonton? your soccer career? Like, what made you perhaps just tell us a little bit about your soccer story here, coming from Edmonton, or
Yeah, I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, raised there. Went through the youth system of Edmonton, played in the men's league as well. Got to play with Thiago as well in some of the mini World Cups. So it was a great experience. Definitely helped in the development of my plans for the future, to see how things are run here, and it really was a good experience, a special experience. Also being Portuguese, spent some time in Portugal playing in the summers here every time my parents would come. So it was a good youth build up, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
that's
So,
awesome.
Felipe, let's talk a little bit about like you in Portugal right now. We connect to you in Europe right now. What are you doing up there? What's going on?
So the main focus for me to be here this year was to take my UEFA licenses, get some experience coaching in some clubs, senior level and youth level, just to kind of get some more knowledge of how things are done at a higher level, different culture. Being Portuguese, obviously, and yourselves being Brazilian, you understand that the culture of football is an obsession. It's a religion. So it's a lot different than being in Canada. So being able to take the other side, not being the player, but get to see how things are done from the coaching level was really important for me, just so that I could come back to Canada and with new ideas, a fresh mindset, just to help my players and whoever possibly I can, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And again, I'll jump in this question too. So again, we this is futsal specific podcast. So what can you tell us about the futsal I don't know area world in Portugal? I see like we don't have to go very far on YouTube, and you can see Benfica and Porto playing, and it's a show. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Like all as all the Latinos and all the Portuguese and Brazilian fans, like people going crazy. What have you noticed about the futsal world there in Europe, and that again stuff that we could maybe use it here?
Well, like you guys know, in Brazil, it's futsal is number one. So you can't go too far, whether it's on the street or in a little barro, that there's a favela, that there's always a little futsal camp. So it's the same thing as here in Portugal. Um, I think that people in Canada have this thought that there's just fields everywhere, that everyone's just playing 11v11 on grass turfs and or grass fields, but that's not the case. The reality is that most of these kids are learning how to play the game on little futsal fields in their little town, or going next to another village, or in pavilions. So football here isn't 11v11 90% of the time. 90% of the time it's kids just playing futsal. And I think that the focus is letting them play, and that's what futsal is. It's way more touches. It's way more exciting. I mean, not way more exciting, because we all love 11v11, but it's an exciting game. It's fast. You're always on the ball, and you can have a lot of teams going, because it's 5v5. So you always have teams waiting on the side. So I think that most of the kids, they get most of the development of the game, and their knowledge of the game, and understanding spaces and speed, and technical ability, all comes from playing in those little futsal fields. It's not necessarily in the training sessions that they're getting all the information. I think that the training, the development, or the formação, as we call it here, is more tactical. They teach the kids the understanding of the field, but where the kids get most of their knowledge, I would say, is playing futsal, or whether it's on the street or on those little futsal fields. And I think that that's something that is missing in Canada. I mean, you can play shinny hockey anywhere in the middle of the winter. You can play hockey in the summer because there's ice rinks. You can play hockey on the street, but we don't see a lot of kids having pickup games unless it's at Commonwealth turf. You don't see a lot of pickup games, and that's something that is missing. That culture of constantly playing. It's so structured. It's so structured in Canada, and that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with it being structured, because the kids are getting well developed as well. But that freedom to just play and constantly play, I think, is the one thing that is missing in Canada.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Felipe. I think you touched a very important point. I think there's like we are very structured. We have our the soccer development over is very structured, and we're looking we one thing that we're missing is the unstructured one structured coaching, right? Like it's the freedom of play. It's having kids playing on their own, coming up with their own rules, right? I'm sure like in Portugal it's almost like Brazil. Each neighborhood they have their own games they play on the streets, and you go to a different neighborhood, different rules, it changes, right? And the players come up with their own rules, like that involves creativity, that involves like several like elements of the game that builds you to be a better player, right? And that's if I think the right word is like freedom of play. We need more of that in Canada, or at least I can speak only for Alberta, right?
Yeah, I think the word that we use in the coaching courses in Canada is called global development, right? And when we give the kids the chance to learn and find the solutions on their own. But even in a structured situation, when you try to do global development, we have a tendency to still put our hands into the situation and guide them. And like you said here, you can go play one tournament. It's this rule. I remember when I was a kid, there was rules that if the ball goes above your knee, it was a foul. So the ball had to stay on the ground. There was rules in sometimes playing futsal, which is kind of like indoor soccer in Edmonton, but it's in a square. It's not in a hockey rink. And to pass to the goalie, you'd have to use the boards. And then there's the rules that you go to another town, and there is no rules. So it's a free for all.
Literally, there is no rules, right? It's like
right. It's survival of the fittest, and whoever wins. And if you get scored on, you're out. And if you don't like it, shut up. So there's that aspect of things. So I think the real global learning is the freedom, right? And just stepping away and kind of giving them that moment to just find their own solutions and their own creativity and finding spaces. And it's also, I mean, we're blessed, right? We're also blessed in the situation that I've been saying it for a long time. The biggest difference isn't, I don't think that the players in Canada aren't capable. I think they're very capable. We have amazing players. We have amazing coaches. We have amazing programs. But it's a culture thing, right? Like on Saturday, you're watching hockey night in Canada, right? And that's something you grow up with. In Portugal, there's no hockey night in Canada. There is no Monday night football. There is no baseball on Thursdays. It is football. Every chance you get, you're sitting there with your grandpa, your uncle, screaming his head off, or you come to a cafe and they're screaming, and you build that culture inside of you that we can't really recreate in Canada. I mean, we're trying, we're doing our best, but it's really hard to recreate, right?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you that. Do you think is it possible for us to create an environment, uh, here in Canada, like similar, as you said? We can't just recreate what happens in Portugal, what happens in Brazil, but can we perhaps create an environment where people are actually consuming soccer 24/7?
Um, I think so. I think we're getting there, right? We have guys like Alfonso Davies that are breaking into the systems and really putting a name out there for the country. Steph and Stakio, who's really putting us on the map as well here in Portugal. I think it's possible. I don't think it'll be possible within the next decade or so. But there's also another difference that I see here in Europe, and I'm sure you see it in Brazil, is that like we see the way that society is kind of going in North America. It's very censored, right? And in Portugal and Brazil, you come to a fifth division game and old ladies are losing their minds and they're going crazy, and usually it's the old ladies that are going the craziest here. So it's really cool to see the culture on, like, it doesn't matter what game it is. It could be a high stake game. It could be just another regular middle table game or a friendly match. And people are they're losing themselves in the passion of the sport, right? And until we allow that to grow and allow people to express themselves outside of the field with respect, obviously, with respect, it can get out of hand in Portugal too. And they do have police at every games and they ensure that there's safety, right? But until we're allowing the culture of the sport to be free to express itself, outside of the field, inside of the field, it'll be difficult, right? I think we're getting there. We're on the right track, especially with the futsal. I think you guys are doing an amazing thing. Just watching the lives, the music and the environment that you guys are creating. I could see that, especially in that format, I could see really exciting games, exciting environments being created, because it's enclosed, it's smaller. Everyone is really close to the game, and I could see it growing in that sense. Now, being said, it's really tough as well in our context, because we're playing on fields that have no stands. There's 7 fields in one area. You can't really congest people into one area where it's going to get exciting. And then, someone gets a little bit riled up and they're being told to be quiet, and it's tough. It's kind of tough. So I hope to see it. I would hope to see it. I would love to see it. I mean, you've seen it, Mini World Cup, right? If you remember Mini World Cup when we were growing up, the Chilenos coming with the drums, and it was really exciting, and that's kind of what we would get hyped up for. I remember being really excited if we got paired up with the Chilenos, just because it was going to be a really good atmosphere, right? So that's something that we also have to think about, is like, how do we create a culture off the field so that it can be expressed even more so on the field. And if we can do that, I think we'll get close. I think we're on the right path.
That's a great leeway to my next question, because again, the one thing, as you mentioned, we're trying to do is not is to create an environment where it's welcoming, it's fun, people want to be there for the game and for the players, and and create an environment that it's it's so interesting to see, especially when there's a break or a timeout, or that we play music, we see people dancing, people engaging, and it's really, really interesting to see that happening. And you're a local guy, but you're not here. You haven't been here. You haven't been in a real game yet. And that's kind of my question. And I please here, we're not asking you to say nice things because it's us and we are talking to you. But what have you noticed from far? What are you seeing that's different? What are you seeing is kind of unique? What are you seeing is it's good? I also want to talk about like things we can improve it. But also at the end of the day, I want to ask this question: like, is a sellable product? Can we make it? Do you see this can become a business that it can expand within the Edmonton area?
Absolutely, I absolutely. Not just because of what is going on in your guys' league. I think the fruits of the league, once you guys break into the youth level, we'll really see players start to develop at a higher rate. I think that the futsal format is so quick, and the kids get so many touches, and the environment is so enclosed that the kids are going to get used to the pressure of on and off the field, right? You got people right beside you screaming onto the field. I even seen that one incident. It was a negative incident, but it showed the passion that people were engaged, right? Like, it wasn't a positive thing to see. Nobody wants to see that situation happen, but it was a situation that's like, okay, everyone is focused. They're in this. They're not just here to joke around. The fans unfortunately got involved, but that's a reality, right? Like, if you're there for a competitive sport, you're going to get engaged. And unfortunately, it ended up being a negative one, but that's the reality. This is the sport that we're in. And they see it in hockey, like hockey, it happens all the time. Parents are losing their minds on the sides, and it's a part of the sport. And once we reach that level where we're respecting that passion that we respect in hockey, that we allow for the fans in hockey to have, and we respect that, it will definitely grow. And the fact that the kids are going to be playing more at such a high pace, you'll see how much and how quick this will sell, because the players are just going to grow so much quicker.
Yeah. And from far, are you looking at the league? You're looking at what's happening. What's your impressions? Your positive and negative impressions of the league so far?
Honestly, I don't have any negative ones, to be honest. The only negative thing is I got to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch the games, right? It's nice to see. It's nice to see based on what I'm watching from my club, is just kind of the evolution of the players through the games and how they're growing into the spaces. One thing that I love, and I'm not sure, Thiago, if you were involved at the time, is I remember when I first started coaching, they had a futsal league in Edmonton. And the negative side of that was that, like I said, every referee would come with a different religion. The rules were never the same. This guy would have his own set rules, and then this guy would have his own set rules, and that's not the problem in the futsal league. You guys have referees that are holding a standard. They're maintaining the rules. They're all following the same playbook. There's not one guy that thinks, oh, this is the out of bounds lines. Oh, no, he can kick it in like this. So that's an amazing thing, that there's a standard of play, that there's actual rules being followed by everyone, and not differentiating, like changing every game that you play. So having that consistency is huge. I don't see any possible negativity in what's going on. And I'm not saying that just because I know you guys. I'd be blunt if I did see a problem, but I honestly, I would. My only negative is I wish my team won more, maybe, had more points. But I'm proud of their fight. They're young, they're learning, and they're getting to play against great guys like Scottish. Like some of those guys that I know myself are great players, and it's great to see them compete. Kings, even the Rangers guys, they got top players. The BTB boys are great. They're doing really well. So the level is really, really competitive. And even if they lose, they're learning, right? They're learning every time. So for me, no negative ideas at all. I think it's
and
great.
To point a couple of things you said there, like we are working in the background, like, for example, with the referees, like we are trying to see how can we help, how can we support, what can we do. We're working with coaches, like there is a project coming up. I'm not going to say much about it because of all the different organizations, but we are working on how to develop coaches for futsal, right? Things that really it's impactful and we can change. And this is just the first season, right? This is just the first little sample what can be done. Go ahead, Thiago.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think I was involved with when there was I heard there was a futsal and youth back in the days. I wasn't really involved, but and it really makes things hard when you don't have everyone on the same page, or the referees are doing their own thing. That doesn't promote the sport, that's for sure. But it's like right now, as Junior said, it's just our first year, and we like when every time I watch players on the field, Felipe, and I see how uncomfortable they are when they have the ball on their feet. I've said this before. Like the players get the ball, it's a 1v1 situation. There's nowhere to go. The players are not moving for them. Like, and then what? There's no boards like for you to kick and run. You know what I mean? Like you're put on the spot when you play futsal, right? Like you don't have like everyone is watching what you're doing with the soccer ball, and so that's to me we challenge them in a different way. We're taking them from the comfort zone, and I think that's why I think futsal is so good for them because of that, right?
Yeah, especially I think one of the rules that I think that makes futsal so great, especially the transitions into 11v11, is that, I mean, Thiago, we both know playing backwards is easy. Any guy can play backwards, but playing backwards, you're not going to score goals. You have to go forward and have a attacking mentality. And in futsal, you can't use the goalie, right? You can use him once, maybe if you're lucky, and then if you're not, and you get that ball, it's like you're in the middle of the ocean, and you better figure out a solution to go forward. And that's going to help players, especially the midfielders, especially the defenders, to break lines. So I think that rule itself is, I know it's the toughest rule in futsal for a new player to adapt to, because once you get that ball, or the goalie plays your ball, and you're faced with a striker, you got to come up with a solution, right?
Yes.
So and even sometimes when that ball is getting played back to the goalie and the goalie knows he can't play it, it's kind of fun to see how they resolve that situation. Some guys are smart, they let it go out. Some guys kick it out and they touch it. But it's cool to see that they're having to come up with new solutions to new problems, right? And that I think is the advantage of the sport, that you're constantly having to figure out a new solution, and every play of the game, and that's going to help not only not only the futsal players, but like, let's say you don't coach futsal and you only coach turf or grass. Once those kids come to you, they're better problem solvers, right? And you're saving yourself a certain aspect of development that, of course, you're gonna have to touch on it. The game is bigger, it's wider, but you're not going to have to touch on that subject so much and focus on certain subjects so much because they're so comfortable with the ball at their feet.
Yeah, no,
One thing we noticed is like how many teams now and players are starting to use the flying goalie. Where in the beginning of the season they never using the flying goalie because they're afraid, they're freaking out. And now you say, hey, they're experimenting, right? On the male and female side, on both divisions, right? They're starting to experiment, and some goalies are coming out and see how it goes.
Yeah.
They're putting in pressure. It's very interesting to see that development, like we're not gonna even pass the ball to the goalie to like, well, I can have a fifth player on my counter attacking here, creating an outnumber situation here. Well, there's a price to pay, right? You might be exposing yourself if you lose the ball, but it's really cool to see that transition happening.
And it's great for the goalies, right?
Yeah.
The goalies, we've always been, I mean, the big focus on goalie training is a lot of the saving, jumping and ball handling with your hands. And we see a bit of a lack in goalies that have great feet and being comfortable to get into the play. And now with futsal, you see, I love it. I love seeing the goalie come out and create that superiority up top. I love it because you see the courage, right? And we're creating courageous players and brave players, and that's what we need.
Yeah, no.
So
it's funny that you say that, Junior, because we were talking before about the different rules in different neighborhoods, right? In different countries, right? So that's why it's so important to expose the players to different games, the soccer games, right? To different rules and get them thinking. The players, as we were talking to Ahmed in our first episode, like the players took a while for them to figure out the rules. Okay, now I know the rules. What's the strategy? What can I do? How can I take advantage of it, right? That's amazing. But I was gonna sorry for interrupting, Junior, but I was gonna ask you, like, what's the feedback from your players, like first class academy? Like, what's the goal, the expectations for this season? Are the players enjoying? Are you seeing improvement?
I think they're enjoying it, of course. I mean, obviously, results kind of help in the emotion of the enjoyment, right? You want the better the result, the easier it is to swallow the result, right? But I think they're enjoying. I mean, the main goal for me was understanding that there was going to be men, right? There was going to be some high-level players playing. Once I knew that Scottish was in it, it was a no-brainer. If we can play against Major League Scottish and not have to be in Major League, that's gonna be amazing, right? Because those guys can move the ball well, and it's showing in their results. So my expectation was just for them to go and play and feel the discomfort, right? My job as a director isn't necessarily to create comfort. Yeah, it's to give them an emotional comfort, but it's to give them discomfort on the field, because the reality is that as you step up the ladder, it's going to become more and more uncomfortable. And that was the only expectation. The results for me in the development phase don't really matter. As long as I'm seeing growth in certain aspects of technical and tactical development, I could care less if we lose or we win, because the development is gonna come, right? So preparing them for a higher level, preparing them technically, emotionally, physically to adapt to a higher level in the future, that's all that matters to me, right? If you win a couple of trophies along the way, awesome. But I never got a raise because I won provincials. I never got a better job because I went to provincials and won provincials, right? You got better because of your self-development, and that was the most important thing. And I'm seeing it, right? I'm seeing it with them, and also being able to kind of mix, right? I'm sure you've seen some of my players there that right? Some older guys, and allowing them to kind of help guide them within the games was another important factor. Is that if you have a senior player that you can play with that really knows how to play the game, it's going to help, right? Even if they're not talking, you have someone to guide you just by example. So that was a huge benefit too.
So actually, I was gonna change the subject to your club, right? Yeah, your club is right now 9 points. It's outside looking into the playoff scenario. 7 games, 3 wins, 4 losses, 32 goals for, 46 goals against. And they came out of the bat, big win against Scottish United. And then they struggle a couple of games, and they have won big games the last 2 games. And I'm certain you are really looking at when you're looking at games and everything. And you have a very good player on number 10, on Adam, right? Adam Tasoki, he's really good. I'm really impressed with Adam's ability to create space, and then we gave him to play the match a couple of times. Can you talk about a little bit about this journey? How and again, I know you're not here. I know you're not seeing the development. I know it's kind of hard, looking for outside in, but you know those kids, you know those guys. What do you notice from game 1 win and then struggle a little bit, now picking up a couple of wins, back into the playoff debate, and what are you seeing there? What are you seeing from Fran?
Well, what I'm noticing is resiliency. That's what I'm noticing, that they're really gaining. And futsal's quick, and just like in a 90-minute match, it's a little bit tougher because you have 3 lines to break down before you get to the goalie. But in futsal, you can be down 4-0 and be back up in no time, and that's kind of been what's happened to our team. Unfortunately, it's been on the negative side in some games where we went up and then we went down. And that just shows the resiliency of the other teams, right? And then I think after those results, I think that they got it in their heads that, like, hey, we can be down and still come back, and not give up. It's a quick game, and anything could happen. You could get a free kick from all the fouls, right? The foul out rule. So that's another situation that you have to keep in mind, that the more you have the ball at your feet, the more that you're pressing, the more opportunity you are to get fouled. And then if you get enough fouls, you're going to get a free shot. So that can put you back in the game. So for me, I've noticed that. And obviously, there's some things I wish I'd see more. The cycling of the ball, because that's what the game is. And it's kind of, in the sense, kind of like a hockey power play, where you see guys cycling the puck and moving around and pass, move, and creating spaces. Obviously, I'd love to see more of that, but they're still trying to figure it out, right? They're still trying to understand when I can go, when I should stay, when I should hold, and when I should give. And I see it's coming along. And just like for you guys, this was a pilot year. This is our pilot year as well. It doesn't matter how much you practice things without pressure in a gym by yourselves. It's completely different when you got music, you got fans, you got a 28-year-old man pressing you. So it's different.
Live stream, people need
live stream, right?
Yeah.
And they know I'm watching, because I message them after and give them the gears. So no, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way they're developing. I'm happy the way that they're fighting. I can't complain. Honestly, I can't complain.
What can you tell us about Adam? He's a very skilled player. That's something we notice.
Adam is passionate, very passionate. Also, as I see that he's got a couple yellow cards.
3.
So he's a very
the next game.
Yeah, I noticed. He's a passionate kid. Okay, he loves the sport. He really loves the sport. He's come to Portugal with me 2 times to do our showcases. So that's helped him a lot in terms of understanding the level of pressure that he's going to be playing under. He did a couple trials last summer that he did really well, other than the fact that of his age and visas and stuff like that. It was the only hindrance. So he's done well to take on challenges and move forward. That's something that I've noticed he's very, very good at. He doesn't like to be drawn back. Any chance that he sees that it's going to be tough, he's going to put his head down, he's going to go forward. And that's something that is going to take him very far in life, right? If he takes that same characteristic into anything that he does, when things get tough, he's going to put his foot down and he's going to keep moving. I think that's going to give him the best shot in life. And then it shows, right? It shows in the way he plays. That's why he's gotten a few man of the matches. And not just that, I mean, he got the last man of the match in our last game, but he gave the shirt to our goalie. Okay, he recognized that the goalie played a huge part in that victory, and he said, no, I got awarded the man of the match because I got a hat trick, but you were the key factor to this victory, and he gave it to him selflessly. So for me, as a coach, as a friend, because I tell my players all the time, don't call me coach. I'm your friend. I'm not your coach. And to see a friend treat another friend like that and put him first is huge. That's a human trait that we can't necessarily give all the time. We can show by example, but then it's going to be up to you to do it. And to see him take that initiative, it wasn't a coach that told him, hey, maybe you should give it to this guy. And him do it himself at that age. And we know, Thiago, at that age, when you're young, you're hungry and you want all the accolades, right? But to be able to kind of put yourself aside and say, no, this guy was the key. So that was huge.
See, and that's the thing about sports that's amazing, right? It's raising men's and women's of character, and then it's the part of the sport that we as coaches and people that love the sports, like that's what we're here for, teaching these young boys and girls how to go. Go ahead, Thiago.
No, my next question would be, Felipe, can you tell us about your academy? Like, what's the purpose? If there's a father watching this, um, like why would he put his kids in your academy? What's behind? You mentioned about some showcases in Portugal. Can you just give us share some information with everyone?
Yeah, the question I hate the most. not because not necessarily because I don't have an answer, but because I don't like to be a salesman, right? I'm more of a guy that likes to on the field and show my capabilities on the field. I don't like to talk about it and stuff like that. But I think what the academy does, obviously it's supplemental, right? We're not trying to interfere with club. We understand how important it is to compete and have kids playing club. But having another perspective, offering a little more guidance. I mean, a lot of the kids and parents that know me know that I'm pretty straightforward. This is probably the longest I've gone without swearing because I know that I'm on a podcast. But I'm straightforward. I want kids to grow. I want them to feel comfortable in uncomfortable situations. I want them to develop at their rate. I want them to feel obsessed with a sport. I've never said that a coach or myself, I don't like to take the credit for the development of a player. Was I there to guide them? For sure. Did I help them with some information? Absolutely. But their obsession is what's going to take them there. If you're not obsessed, it doesn't matter how good the coach is. It doesn't matter how good the program is. It doesn't matter who's in front of you. Unless it's a Cristiano Ronaldo, unless it's a Messi, a Pep, they're gonna find it hard to listen and really grasp it. Now we do our best. I do my best to give them my perspective of culture, my energy, my honesty, and treat them with respect. That's what I try to give the kids. And then there's the objective of the showcases and the experiences that we try to create. Like we were talking about earlier in culture. It's so hard. It's so hard, man. Like, Thiago, like you can try to create the most intense experiences in training and in games, but nothing compares. Nothing compares to the reality of being here and feeling it. So trying to create those opportunities where the players get to come here, they get to see it at an earlier age, the better, right? Because I think it's like a pyramid. And if we wait till we're at the top of the pyramid, then the only thing that happens when you're at the top of that pyramid is to go back down. So starting them early and trying to get them into these scenarios where they're playing against top clubs like Braga, Celta Vigo, Lusitania Lourosa, Beira Mar. These are the objectives. And then if we can provide some experience after it, some trials after it, great. If they get offered, great. But the key is to give them the experience, to keep the obsession, right? To keep them hungry, keep them wanting more, keep them going, and give them a benchmark. I've always said that if you want to be a good NHLer, right now we're really lucky. And if you were born in the 80s too as well, we had a good phase there. You can go watch the Oilers have an open practice. You want to see how fast you need to skate, go watch Connor, right? You can go and watch the Oilers play. But what's our benchmark? Watching Champions League on Tuesday? That's difficult, right? Like, it's not the same perspective. The speed is not the same. When you're there live, it's totally different. When you're in the crowd, it's totally different. So giving them that opportunity is very important, right? whatever comes of it is best, or whatever comes of it, whether it does or doesn't. They got their experience, they got to try, and that's the most important for most adults, right? They wanted to know that I gave my best, and I don't want them to have regrets. How many players do we know? They're 30, they're 35, they're 40. I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Oh, but I didn't this, and this guy didn't that, and I didn't have this. Oh, if only I could have. I was so good. Like, well, you didn't. And that's the end of it. Now these kids can go on with their lives and have no regrets, no resentment. They tried. They had an opportunity. They got to see it, and now they know where they stand, and they can go on and go on with their lives, their relationships, their jobs, and they're not going to be one of those parents trying to live their dream through their children, and that's kind of a big part for me.
And I was telling Thiago, like with the day, I think you met Thiago, the day I fell in love with the game. It was when my dad took me for the first time to the Maracanã Stadium, and you see a big stadium, and you walk into a little hallway, and you see the green for the first time with the light, and you see the fan, like 100,000 people chanting, yelling the same thing. I fell in love, and again, like you said, like it's true, it is hard for us to emulate that, but you know, in Brazil or in Portugal, it didn't start with 100,000 people, right? It started with 100 crazy people, like we're doing right now in Canada, and maybe some of these fruits is gonna be, we're only gonna be see these down the road, right? We're only gonna be able to see this 20, 30, 40 years from now, but we need to start somewhere and to inspire. I think what the message you have there, Filipe, is to inspire these players, giving them the dream. Let's show them there is a dream. They can come in, and then you know, if they do the hard work, probably won't happen. But they need that dream. That dream is to earn, and if there is somewhere that they can do this, right? Sorry, Thiago, you got it.
No, I was gonna say the same thing. I think the biggest thing you're doing, Felipe, is you're taking kids there. Those kids, they're having that experience, the opportunity. They're coming back to Canada, and you're giving them a dream. They're gonna be dreaming for the next year, 2, maybe 3. You know, with that, like, okay, I know what's like to be in Spain, in Portugal. Maybe I want to be there, right? It's a dream. It might last 1 year. It might last 2 years. But you're giving them a dream. You're inspiring them to achieve higher goals, right? I think that's the most important thing.
I think another thing,
Thank
speaking
you.
for myself,
Go ahead.
and
Go ahead. Sorry, go
maybe
ahead.
yourself is like, anytime anyone has told me no, what would be my reaction, right? I would go harder. So even if I know a certain child, I mean, you have a notion. Okay, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not going to tell a kid no. I'm never going to tell a kid no. I want reality to tell him no. I want him to try and have the situation tell him no. It's not my job to tell a kid he can or he can't. My job is to tell him, go for it. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep trying. I know it's going to be hard, but you keep going. And once you go and you try, and reality tells you, yes, you can, or no, you can't, that's the best way of showing someone whether they can or they can't. It's not, no Canadian coach, I'm sorry to say it, no Canadian coach has the right to tell a kid he can or can't do something in Europe until the kid goes and finds out for himself. Give him the opportunity to find out for himself. Mm-hmm. And that way his conscience will be clean when the situation happens.
Right. No, you're right. You're totally right. Filipe, it's 45 minutes in. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this conversation. We're looking forward. When you're back in Edmonton?
I'm thinking April.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely
should be April. Looking
forward when you get back to Edmonton, talk a little bit more football. It's really been a pleasure to get to know a little bit more on this, and like what Thiago and I are trying to do. And Thiago, I don't want to speak in your behalf, but is to give these players and these coaches something to a dream, inspiration. And we don't know where this is gonna go. We don't know how far this can go, but we're trying to create the pathway that we don't know. We don't know where this can go. As long as we allow to dream, and we allow these players to dream, and coaches and clubs to dream, that's what we're here for. So thank you so much, Filipe. Really appreciate it, man.
No, thank you guys again. Thank you guys for creating this program. I think it's well overdue, and keep going. Congratulations again on all the success, and I hope to see more, and the growth of the program for all levels, because I think what you guys are doing is amazing.
We should do a old guys league, Thiago. The three of us can play, right?
Are you over 35 yet, Felipe? No, you're
Yeah, I'm 39, my friend.
Oh my
So
goodness.
you cannot play over. We can do over 40, and you cannot play, Thiago.
Yeah.
But Felipe, I hope you get a lot of experience. You can bring a lot of knowledge to Canada because we need that. And you can, once you're back. When are you coming back to Edmonton?
April.
Thinking end of March, April, I should be back. My course ends the beginning of March. I have 2 or 3 boys that are here playing at the club, so I want to kind of support them a little bit more throughout the season, and then I'll come back.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully once you're back, we can, partner up and help build the soccer community here in
Absolutely.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much, Felipe. Appreciate it, man.
No, thank you guys. Have a good night. I appreciate it. Or good day. Sorry, good day.
It's morning still here. Okay, Thiago, that was a lot of fun, man. Get to know Felipe a little bit. I never met him before. It was actually kind of really interesting to see him. It's like say, really interesting conversation there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's nice to see to have a different perspective, right? Like right now he's in Europe, but he was born and raised in Edmonton. He played the game as well, and now he's coaching. Now he's trying to provide a platform for all these young players, and support them. Probably in a way that he wasn't supported when he was a kid, right? Like it's nice to have that perspective as well.
And it kind of like we keep talking over like it's not, there's no one solution, right? There is multiple solutions. There is football it's a path, right? 11 is a path. Something in North America, there's no one answer fits all. So again, at the end of the day, it's really important for us to build all these little things that and allow the whole structure to kind of fit itself. We're gonna wrap it up. Again, one more shout out to our sponsors, Macron Ontario. Thank you so much, guys. Edward Jones, Lynch Code, Castle Down Medical, Remax Lead, Ricardo Brito, ESP Elevate Sports Performance, and No Sweat. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to check it out, or 50/50 right now. So futsaledmonton.com. There's all the links in there. We have a game tomorrow. It's a busy day tomorrow. Fort St. John is coming. We're excited to see them again. And it's gonna be an incredible afternoon of futsal. Thiago, any last words in there?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very busy weekend. Lots of games. We're coming. The season is kind of like coming to an end, and the games are getting even more exciting. Uh, and yeah, it's if you haven't had a chance to come watch us, please come support us, or at least watch the games on YouTube. Go to our website. We usually have the links on Instagram as well. But it's the league is kind of wrapping it up, and it's getting even more exciting.
Okay, with that, that's a wrap of episode number 2. Thank you so much. See you guys next Friday.